Welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, catering to the latest in ingredient trends, consumer insights, and food news. Brought to you by Corbion.
Welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, a podcast that is all about food. I'm CJ.
And I'm Jenny.
And today, as we start the new year, we left off in 2020 talking about what's to come in the new year. What can we expect and kind of predict in food trends and how that's going to play into everything that happens throughout the year, especially with the pandemic. Today, we're going to pick up kind of where we left off and talk a little bit about channel shifting and the way consumers are purchasing all of their food and how we've changed that over the last year. So, ordering online or the way we shop in the store or the brands that we're buying and what that means for food manufacturers.
And I wonder how many of those things are going to stay, right?
Exactly.
Like I think that's the major question is we've watched them shift because we've all been a part of that shift, but in one way or another anyway. How many of those things are going to stick around? Like I learned that having groceries delivered is the best thing ever because I get like a whole weekend day back, right?
Right.
I don't have to go get it. I always go to Aldi, which means I have to like pre-bag my stuff and then get it home. And it just takes forever.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But on the topic of trends, I was flipping through Supermarket Perimeter, as I always am doing, and I found the top cheese trends and was like, well, this is absolutely something I need to talk about and read.
Yes.
Also, there were some of these things that I was like, who is doing this? So with snacking being, of course, at the top in there, it was like, some people are snacking twice a day. And I was like, only twice a day? Who's only snacking twice a day?
Not me.
Snacking like 30 times a day.
Yes. I think you're supposed to. Everybody says like 10 small meals. And I'm like, if 5 of those are cheese, then, 5 are cheese.
Exactly. A lot of mine are cheese. Cheese is like my favorite. But
me too.
2 of the really big ones, which makes sense, I think it aligns with all the trends we've seen, are experience. So people are trying to like bring home their fancy gourmet experiences at like restaurants or wherever they've traveled before home. Yes. And so there's a big rise on like flavored cheese and gourmet crumbles that are like balsamic and special flavored or like wine flavored cheeses. And now I need to go to like, I don't know what a cheesery, is that a thing? Like a cheese counter? What is a cheese deli? Like, what is that called? Well, it's a cheesery from now on. And try all of these fancy cheeses.
Fromagerie.
I mean, that's you're just saying.
Isn't that a French cheesery?
I think, you're just saying cheese in French and adding E at the end.
Well,
And one of them that I discovered over the pandemic was burrata, and it's apparently on the rise. And
what is burrata?
I love burrata. It's kind of like a mixture of, I could be completely wrong and all the cheeseries are going to come for me. It's like a mixture of mozzarella and kind of ricotta. So it's got like, it comes in like a little ball, like a mozzarella, but then when you like cut it open or you break it open, it's got like the soft, creamy cheese on the inside.
Yum.
You have to go get burrata now to drink with your wine or your charcuterie boards. And then, of course, value. So everybody's able to get like massive sizes because they're all cooking from home or they are going to the store less often. So I think those are trends that we're going to talk about throughout the year and maybe even today. Did you stock up on cheese with all of your rice?
Yeah, I did. Well, and I honestly, when I shop at Costco online, because that's how I do it now, they have like the wedges that like have been cut out of those huge wheels. You can just, and so I spend like, I bet I spend $100 on cheese a month because I like to always, I like to have stuff for charcuterie board in case somebody drops by. Like I like to be able to just be like, let's have a snack. And I have prosciutto and all the yummy stuff.
What I want to know is when you're building a charcuterie board, because I do this every single time, why all of a sudden do I think that we're going to eat like 30 pounds of cheese each?
I know.
I go and I buy like $100 or $150 worth of cheese. I put together a charcuterie board and we eat like 3 bites of it. And then I have 16 blocks of cheese to eat for the next month.
Yes. And then I'm begging people to eat it in my house. I'm like, why aren't you eating the cheese? The cheese is right there. Don't get a mozzarella stringy snack. Just eat one of the cheeses.
It makes me feel better that other people do it too, at least.
Yeah.
Well,
Who's our guest?
yes.
Who's our guest today?
So today we are joined by one of our favorite guests who has been a reoccurring person on the podcast, and Kathy Sargent, who is our Director of Global Market Strategy at Corbion.
Hello, it's so great to see everyone.
You're back again.
Yay.
Yes.
Did you
I
stock up
needed
on
some
cheese?
FaceTime today, so I'm happy to see the two of you.
Right,
We're
gotta
happy to
people.
see you.
Well, we were just talking about the cheese trends and the rise of experience like fancy flavored cheese and the rise of value cheese where people can buy in giant bulk sizes. What's
That's for
your-
all.
Right? I know
Yes,
we all love
cheese is
charcuterie boards.
favorite.
What's your favorite cheese?
Oh my
Just a
gosh. That's
cheese.
stressful. I do
hardest
really,
That's stressful.
really aged Gouda usually.
Ooh,
Crystalled Gouda.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of a strong Gouda.
I will
You
eat
know what?
literally any cheese. Any.
And when we're headquartered in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is where they make Gouda, but they call it Gouda, don't they?
Gouda. They do. I've
Yeah.
heard them say Gouda.
So now I try to be all bougie,
Unless
and
there
I'm like,
is
I'm going to
another
serve
kind
you
of
guys
Gouda cheese.
some original, some Gouda straight out of the Netherlands, and everyone's like, "Whoa."
What is this?
Jenny must have been to a cheesery lately. She knows.
Do you know what a cheese deli is called? Or where?
It is fromagerie. It is.
That's.
That sounds good.
I don't know. I mean, it does sound fancy. I'm not kidding. So I'm just saying it in English. Cheesery. Anyways, besides the point. But today we want to talk about channel shifting, the way consumers are purchasing, how that's changing, all of that goodness as we head into 2021, and what that means for food manufacturers.
Oh yeah, it's all over the board.
Right?
This past year with the pandemic, nobody is actually buying food the way they did before, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How many people have not tried something new because it was just such a crazy year?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it just forced everyone out of their routine, whether, something was closed, something was unavailable, people were scared.
Right.
Once we kind of broke that normal habit of just doing the same old, now let's try something new. Like you said, we're looking for experience. Well, part of the experience, it might be going to the restaurant, but it's also going to the grocery store or going to Costco. And now it's how you click online. What apps do we have and how do we shop differently?
When we look at the way we've all changed our purchasing or the way we shop, what do you think are the biggest, or what do you think is going to stay?
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's hard to predict anything, but
and I think restaurants are going to come back. I think that's a good thing, that's going to rebound. People are going to want to get together and go out and have those experiences.
Yeah.
But some of the conveniences are going to stick around. The rate might be a little bit different because, people do like to interact with grocery shopping, but we may do more of that interaction in specialty stores, where some of our staple items, it's like, yeah, send them to me automatically every month. I don't need to pick out, my canned goods or something that comes in a box.
Right.
But now
But you want to go to a cheesery
store.
to get your cheese.
Yes, I can go to a special butcher store or a bakery or something where you want to splurge. But the day-to-day stuff, it's like, it's in my favorites. It's just going to show up.
I
Smart.
thought it was interesting. I hadn't really thought about the things I purchased from Instacart, but we ordered Instacart over the weekend, and we were trying to plan like our menu for the week. And then I got into it, and there were things that I was not willing to let them pick out. I was like, I don't know if they'll pick out the right one. Like,
Yeah.
Like veggies.
yeah, like avocados for some reason. I was like, well, what if they get the giant, or what if they get too small of an avocado? Or what if it's really mushy and I don't want to eat it for 3 days? So I was like, no, we're going to have to go get avocados. Or like I wanted to make chili, and I was like, do I really want to leave it to because sometimes you order it and you just get like random beans, and they're like, well, we couldn't find the other beans, so we just got these beans. And I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
so there were just random things that I was not willing.
I always
to
get random
get.
sizes. Like sometimes I'm used to this big and I get like this big. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, you have to
Well,
learn
and-
from those mistakes a few times.
And
Yes.
recipes, you've got like you've got a very specific way in your head. And I agree. One time I ordered a bundle of broccoli, and it was just like one little baby head of broccoli, like not the full chunk that you need to make like stir fry, but just one little thing.
But what I love in the fruit and vegetable space is how many people are getting the delivered, the ugly fruit or the oddball
Yes. I
I
vegetables.
want to try that box.
I was at a neighbor's last night for the Super Bowl. They had a carrot this big. Seriously, it was like a tree carrot. It was like you could slice this baby and feed like 60 people.
Did it
God.
taste different? Did you try
I
it?
didn't eat it.
Overgrown veg like that usually isn't great.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was hollow inside. It was so bizarre.
So are there things that
crazy.
you won't order from Instacart?
There's things I prefer not to, for sure. The fruits and vegetables are the biggest one for me. And it's just too much variation on freshness and ripeness. And that's where I think there's opportunity for people to carve out that space where they could just be like, yours are always going to be fresh and have that delivery service as opposed to just part of your broad
overall.
You know?
That's right. We keep getting like asparagus, that you can buy at Aldi, but you have to dig through the bags because at Aldi sometimes they're already starting to get bad in pieces. And so we stopped ordering, like that's one specifically, but same thing with squash and zucchini. So it's, you have to really be careful. And then sometimes I'll just change my menu completely not to include them. Because I don't want to go and pick out my own asparagus. I just want it all delivered.
Well, and from a baked goods standpoint, I also then wonder, well, like I know me, I will buy the commercial aisle bread from Instacart, but I won't. Well, first, I don't really see the in-store bakery breads or like the artisan breads, but also those are things that I like to pick out in person too. I like to see it and kind of be able to judge. Like, yeah, that's the one I want.
I think it's going to be important that for these types of foods where people don't have trust in either they feel they need to be fresh or they need to be hand-picked and handled, how do manufacturers of those products or the retailers in that space, have these freshness seals or the best by date or a guaranteed date or something that allows people to start to build trust in the quality that they can order them online? Because I think the traditional model is kind of highlighting some of the gaps in that. For shoppers.
It brings in some transparency to the shopping experience if you were to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
And CJ, if you're going to the bake shop to pick up your bread and feel it, that's called a boulangerie.
Oh, that I think
Did you know that one?
Know at least. I've heard of a boulangerie. I didn't know what the actual categorization of what went into a boulangerie other than fancy baked items. We are joined with Kathy Sargent, who is talking to us about channel shifting, what that means for how consumers are purchasing and what that means for food manufacturers. And we were just starting to get into, some of the gaps that the way we are shopping now and maybe for a while is impacting and what maybe manufacturers can do. But before we dive deeper into it, we are going to take a moment to play Eat, Save, Give, our favorite.
Now it's time for Eat, Save, Give, a thoughtful peek into the hearts, minds, and taste palates of our guests.
Eat, Save, Give well. But for those who are just joining us, or this is your first time listening to the podcast, which if it is, come back and listen to more. But Eat, Save, Give is our segment where we will give 3 foods and you will have to decide which one you are going to eat now, which one you're going to save for later, and which one you are going to give away. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Me too.
Okay. Option 1, take and bake pizza, frozen pizza, or maybe even the kind you get at Papa Murphy's, where you get to pick and take it home with you. Homemade chicken Alfredo, or a ribeye steak.
Oh my, you got some good ones.
Eat, Save, Give.
All right. I love a ribeye, a well-marbled fatty ribeye. It's my fave. And you got to eat that fresh. My husband insists on resting the meat and letting the juice. I'm like, give it to me hot. Give it to me right now. That is me, my patience. He's like this cook and lays everything out and is not in a hurry and likes warm food. And I'm like, hot right off the grill, wherever. So yeah, I'm going to go for the ribeye. And that Alfredo. I've got it. I'm going to save the Alfredo. That rich, creamy, it'll rewarm.
That's true. So you're giving away the pizza.
My winter warm, rich foods. Pizza, it's good too. Don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of take and bake pizza lately.
What about you, Jenny?
The pizza for me it's become a utilitarian food in my house because there's 4 children here, and so that's what they want all the time. And so I'm kind of over it. If you had said wood fired or some kind of fancy pizza, I would have really thought harder, but I'm giving that away because I'm sick of it. I do make a delicious homemade Alfredo. It takes like 10 minutes and it's incredible. And then I blacken chicken and I make my own blackened seasoning too. And so that is what I'm eating right now.
I'll be over tonight since I saved that one.
Yes, I'm happy to send you the recipe too because you probably already have all the stuff in your fridge.
Slowly building a list of the things that you have to feed us someday, because I believe one was fried chicken, right?
Yeah, fried chicken. I mean, we start.
Alfredo.
Yeah, if it's starting with butter and several sticks, I probably already know how to make it. And then I'm saving the steak for later. I'll cut it up and put it in my salad. So I'm not a huge steak fan, but it is really yummy. I like steak salad and blue cheese on top. Speaking of cheese. Okay, CJ, what's yours?
I'm gonna flip the script. I don't really care for steak that much unless it's like a filet and has like little fat on it. But sometimes I do like the ribeyes when they get like that burnt crispy fat on it. But overall, I'm not a big steak person, like once or twice a year maybe. So I will give that away. You can have 2 ribeyes. I will eat the Alfredo now. Chicken Alfredo is actually one of my favorite things, even though I'm lactose intolerant and it's a dangerous game to play. I will do it. And pizza, I'll save that for later. I love pizza. I have discovered actually that I mostly love breadsticks and the condiments that come along with it. So dipping it in like jalapeno ranch and garlic butter, it's really that moment that I enjoy. But pizza, I could eat at any time. Like I'll get it randomly, like if I wake up at 2 a.m., I'm like, oh, let's go eat a piece of pizza.
Yeah, it's good cold.
Nobody knows and nobody can judge me. Yeah. So I'll save the pizza for later and it'll just eat it throughout the week randomly. So that's me.
Love it.
And that's Eat, Save, Give. All right, so we'll get back into it.
Yes.
We're joined
questions.
by Kathy Sargent, our Director of Global Market Strategy at Corbion, and we are talking about channel shifting and what that means for food manufacturers. So when we hopped into Eat, Save, Give, we had just started to touch on some of the gaps that the way we've changed the way we are shopping has caused for food manufacturers. So when we look at that, and I think we were talking about the in-store bakery and safety packaging. So let's start back there. You want to
it's true. I think you kind of mentioned that when we order online, we gravitate towards center store goods, where in the past in-store bakery was just booming. It was becoming a destination. It's a restaurant. You go to a grocery store to eat at the in-store bakery because they've got the salad bar, they've got fresh food, they've got fresh baked goods, desserts, everything. Well, the pandemic really rocked their world. And I think what consumers are looking for now is they're kind of gravitating back towards wanting the perimeter items, but they need some of the convenience of the center store. So they want to know it's handcrafted or local or that it's fresh. It goes back to how do they give the consumer the confidence that it's fresh and it's going to stay fresh. So I think a lot goes to messaging and how it's handled and packaged, because first consumers want to know it's got all the artisan, all of the quality that they believe from that part of the store. Now they want to know that it's going to last, that they can put it in their pantry for 5 days or 7 days and it's going to be okay, because they don't go and order or shop every day anymore. And they also want it secure. So they want it secure knowing that people aren't touching it. They're not picking it out of an open case anymore where somebody might have sneezed on it or rubbed up against
safety. It's like
safety. Those safe
it changes things now,
One of the biggest things we notice is we always get donuts from the donut case, and you can pick them out. Now they don't have, you can't pick out your donuts. It's all already like boxed in like dozens, and we don't ever need like a dozen donuts. We need like 2. Max, or I'll eat a dozen. Exactly. So I'm like, now we always have to buy 6 or 12.
And it needs to be safe in a package where it's not touched, it's locked in freshness, and that it's not going to get crushed.
So that's what I was going to bring up. How do you make sure that now that things are going through multiple channels longer, like they have to come from the manufacturer to the store, from the store to the Instacart, from the Instacart to my house. What can manufacturers do to make sure that as best as possible, the bread still comes looking like
you expect it to look
you can
like
still make a sandwich out of it.
So is there like
going to be continued innovation around food packaging. Going back to how you promote, this is fresh delivery this day. Maybe it's specified dates or something that we have more visibility to for products that don't have really long shelf lives. And that, bakeries and manufacturers are putting in the required technology that consumers feel confident to go back and have that continued quality experience. You look at other industries, bakery included, where day-old bread used to mean it's gone, it's done. Now we know we can make bread high quality longer. The dairy industry was similar, where, it used to be, a day, 2 days, regular delivery. And now consumers, because they've experienced quality for extended amount of time, they start to trust it and they kind of forget those old ways. And it starts to work into what's expected and normal with the natural type ingredients we have that consumers accept, that we're making modifications to the food that's not scary, but we're putting in the softening systems, the quality ingredients, the packaging and the care that's going to make it last for the model we live in today.
And I can definitely echo the need for a few extra days of freshness whenever I'm buying those baked goods. And I think we did a study last year on specifically in-store bakery and, those corner bakeries about how long consumers thought it was going to last, which I think was somewhere around 3 to 5 days, and how long they needed it to or wanted it to last now, which was like 7 to 10. And my guess would be that has only
it's just gotten even more
amplified.
It was the number one need from the space, is people wanted products to last longer, and they want to trust them that it's not weird food. It's still, but the convenience of having things on hand when you want it is a real thing. And I think that's going to stick around.
And we, at our house, we order just once every couple of weeks now because it costs money to have things delivered. So, and we don't want to go to the store, and I don't want to go to the store every Saturday. So I'll pay that money, that delivery fee, and then get everything I need for 2 weeks. Well, if my bread is going to die in 5 days and I can't
have bread,
you're going to have bread for the rest of that 2 week period. So it's like way more important than it would have been before, when I would just swing by on my way home from work, which working from home, right, to pick something up. And we just don't, it's not convenient anymore to do anything like that.
Going to the store is like my one outing for the week every time. I'm like, yes, I get to leave the house.
Do you get a little Starbucks when you get there and get all your
time.
stuff?
I will use Starbucks as an excuse to leave the house every day
experience.
if I could. Yes, exactly. One question that popped up while we were talking about that is, do you think now, with the increased need for like a few extra days of freshness, or something more stable, that the clean label, quote unquote, or the need for simplistic labeling is as important? Or do you think there is any shift in the way consumers are perceiving that, knowing that they need the extra days?
Right. And I think consumers are open to technology, but they want to make sure it's safe and wholesome technology. Yeah. So, they're still looking at their labels. More than ever, they know food is part of their immunity and their health, and that's top of mind. So it's not anything goes. It's, what's wholesome, what's going to get me there without a sacrifice, because consumers want it all. Right. And the industry is advancing enough that they have those choices. And so it is still highly important for consumers not to have things they feel are, overly processed in a negative way, or strange and unusual that doesn't belong. But when we can take ingredients out of nature that are naturally part of the process or naturally part of foods and bring them into an industrial space to leverage that, it's more accepting, and it's very well accepted.
Well, we are already out of time for today. It all flies by so fast.
So fast.
I know, it does. But before we wrap it up, any final words of wisdom as for channel shifting and food manufacturers?
Channel shifting. I think it is interesting. I think you mentioned experience. I'm even thinking about when I order out now, things come in little kits. My ramen bowls, the noodles are here, the soup's here, the vegetables are here. And it's the same with bakery. Protect my bun so it doesn't get soggy when you bring me my burger. And so there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for consumers to have that experience wherever they need it, and for manufacturers to leverage new technology and consumers' willingness to try new things right now, as opposed to just always going through the motions like we've done for so many years. It's an exciting time.
It is exciting.
And I echo the need for that experience. Like I do want to have like my restaurant experience somehow
Me too.
at home since I can't have it. So how do you build that and get to have the same thing without
I mean,
leaving
I
my
think
home?
I'm just like teaching myself to make things that I've never made before, you know. I mean, I like hollandaise, but now I'm, you know, I can make béarnaise sauce for my steak, and you know, because if we're not going out, we're not going to restaurants, and I miss it. I miss, you know, trying something fancy and new. So
It's funny 'cause I think,
what you're saying is exactly, you know, I mean, it resonates.
yeah, it's that value. Now we can put our money in different places, quality ingredients, because we're not paying for the service, and we can splurge in different ways and make things accessible.
Well, we'll have to bring you back on in a few months to talk about this again and keep seeing how it progresses, because I'm sure some of it will last. Some of the changes will last for forever, and some will trickle off, and some will find their medium ground. And so, as the new normal continues to settle in, we'll have to keep exploring it and see what we can do.
Love to. Thank
you
having
for
me.
joining us. Yes.
We love having you. Such a pleasure.
If you guys are looking for more information on what's happening in the food world and what's happening in bakery and what consumers are doing and how they're shopping and how food manufacturers can accommodate that, you can head on over to thebakerstake.com and sign up to receive our newsletter, or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast so you never miss a beat when the information comes out. And on that note, we've been talking about food for the last 2 hours. I'm going to go find some lunch.
Don't forget, keep creating.